Back on Inside Tennessee, summing up election 2020. And Susan, I want to pivot, if you will, to the U.S. Senate race in Tennessee. Senator Lamar Alexander chose not to run again. He served almost 20 years in the U.S. Senate. Bill Hagerty won that race easily over Marquita Bradshaw, who was the Democratic candidate. And you actually worked against Bill Hagerty in full disclosure. Dr. Manny Sethi was your candidate. He lost to Hagerty in the primary. But what kind of senator do you think Hagerty will be in comparison to Marsha Blackburn and Lamar Alexander?
Well, that's an interesting question. Bill Hagerty is a moderate, even though in the campaign, he certainly portrayed himself as a Trump ally and a conservative. He's not. He's really a moderate Republican, which frankly is what we've had in our last 50 years, moderate Republicans that represent Tennessee in the U.S. Senate. Now, Marsha Blackburn is not considered a moderate. She's a conservative, which really fits into where the voters are now in Tennessee. Republican voters are now in Tennessee. Bill Hagerty is definitely a moderate. He ran Mitt Romney's campaigns a couple of times. But I think you'll see him be a moderate senator in the United States as he serves. Time will tell, but I don't expect him to be aligned with Marsha Blackburn very often.
Don, your take from the Democratic side of the aisle. Are you worried about Bill Hagerty and what he might do in the U.S. Senate, or do you think, as Susan mentions, that he'll be moderate and one that will follow in the lines of people like Senator Corker and Senator Alexander?
Well, certainly from outward appearances, he does appear to be more centrist as a Republican. That's a better question to probably ask me on the night of January 5th after the Georgia runoffs have happened. So a real question is going to be, will Hagerty be in the majority or the minority? The way it looks as we tape today, it looks like that both of those Georgia races will go to a runoff. And should the Democrats win both of them, then that would create a 50-50 split with Vice President Harris breaking any tie. But it'll be interesting because if you remember towards the end of Lamar Alexander's term and Bob Corker's term, they took a lot of heat internally from residents of Tennessee about being too centrist and the rhino label. And if Hagerty goes that way, it's not impossible to think that in 6 years, someone may try to primary him if we still have this tone in our country of this hard right rhetoric that obviously Trump capitalized on.
John, you've seen a lot of politicians succeed and fail in Washington. What does Bill Hagerty need to do to be a success in the eyes of most Tennesseans?
Well, he's kind of sitting in the catbird seat, really. I mean, show up for work, that's one thing, and he'll probably be doing a good job. I am curious, as Susan says, I am curious to see what his real colors will be. He does have sort of moderate creds. He worked under H.W. Bush. But he aligned himself so closely with Trump in this election that I'm like, well, where are you? So I guess we will find out. My gut would say he'll line up closer with Marsha maybe than my two friends say, but I don't know.
All right, we're going to take another quick break on Inside Tennessee and find out if John North is really in Liverpool, England, because he looks like he's hanging with the lads there. We're back right after this.